Real estate litigation is any type of dispute arising out of real property or an interest in real property. Real estate litigation could include a dispute that arises during the acquisition of property, or it could be a dispute arising out of ownership rights or other interest in property. For example, a dispute arising out of the acquisition of property could be as simple as a dispute relating to the purchase and sale that is essentially a dispute that's part of the purchase and sale agreement and the terms as to what the parties agreed to and what would be delivered and what would be done before the sale or in connection with the sale, what was represented before the sale. You also could have disputes about whether material defects were with the property were disclosed to the purchaser in the context of a residential or even a commercial transaction. Real estate litigation can also encompass the rights of an existing landowner where you have claims potentially for a trespass or a nuisance for something that's occurring on an adjacent property. And our firm has experience with litigating and resolving disputes that really encompass all of those types of disputes, whether it be something arising out of the purchase and sale of property or whether it be something arising out of an existing ownership and an infringement on the existing owner's rights. Our real estate clients could be individuals or entities who are involved in the acquisition of property. Predominantly it would be commercial property for our firm, where they're acquiring or have acquired a piece of commercial property and a dispute has arisen out of the purchase and sale of that property. They could also be owners, business owners of a piece of real property and disputes that have arisen out of some sort of infringement on their rights as a property owner. It could be in the form of a trespass claim or it could be in the form of a nuisance claim arising out of or infringing upon their ownership of that piece of commercial property.
Real estate litigation involves the trial or arbitration of real estate disputes. It can range from a simple breach of a real estate contract between a vendor and purchaser, or it can get into complex title issues. Real estate litigation involves boundary disputes, title defect claims, property rights use. It can involve environmental issues with property. It can involve takings of properties by governmental agencies. One of the more complex real estate litigations that I've been involved in my career involved a conflict between mining rights of a mining company and the owner of the surface estate. The mining company in that particular case had the right to mine the minerals, but in doing so, they also interfered with the operations of the surface estate owner. That particular case involved the mining company exceeding its rights and led to a federal court litigation. It turned out to be a very complex case, and it took many years to finally get resolved, but we were able to successfully resolve it in the interest of our client.
Another real estate dispute that I had that involved business was between a developer and a large regional home builder that was under development of a tract for a development, and it involved what we call an anticipatory breach of the contract. The residential builder had come to the developer about halfway through the development of the project. Roads were beginning to go in, and informed the developer even if he was to deliver the door fronts on time, they would not be purchased. And the residential builder, this regional builder, was somewhat surprised when the developer brought a complaint against him for an anticipatory breach of the contract. It ended up being a successful resolution for the client, but it was one of those issues where a couple of law firms had looked at the problem and had not come up with a cause of action that satisfied the client or would give a satisfactory result to the client.